From blueprints to bliss, let's get popping with another episode of Plan Co Playbook. Well, it's been a few days, ladies and gentlemen, and as you can see, we are looking through our western area here, but we are moving forward into this area. So here's the thing, Winslow Everheart, our creator and founder of this land, once told me every adventure worth taking starts in the shadows of something bigger than yourself. And yo, that's basically the entire vibe of what we're doing today, because right now we're about to carve out a beast of a new attraction inside of a hollow mountain right there in the middle of our adventure area, Expedition Delta. Now, this isn't just a thrill ride that we're going to build. It's the kind of attraction that makes you want to lean in closer, squint your eyes, and say, wait, there's a roller coaster in there? Yeah, fam, there is. Now, before we get to that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk a little bit about the new DLC coming out from Frontier. Let's take a look at what they've got for us right here on their own website. They are putting out the new Sorcery Pack. Now, if you remember in Planet Coaster 1, we had the Spooky Pack. It was kind of a Halloween-based holiday-type theme. Well, now they've got this, and look at this. We've got some new rides coming, a whole bunch of new scenery, and they've even got some blueprints ready for us. Now, we're going to take a little bit closer look at some of this stuff here. As you can see, we're scrolling through some of the new scenery, and this is one of the largest DLC packs that have ever been put out by Frontier. So we're going to take a look at some of those. As you can see, we've got new benches and new little props and different things, building pieces, some new trees. A bunch of new rides there, some blueprints that they've already started putting out, and if you can see right there in the top middle, or right about in the middle left there, you'll see the pricing on that is only going to be $12.99, which isn't bad at all, especially considering what they're giving us. Look at this, a new vector coaster, in for the child coaster is what they call it, but this could be a pretty cool ride. You can see the stats there, and we'll also take a look at this flying theater. Now, this is one I'm really looking forward to. This is a lot like the Soaring Over California, Soaring Around the World over at the Disney parks, and I just can't wait to use that. That's going to be awesome. Now, this one here, the Gale Force, this kind of giant swinging pendulum attraction, looks kind of cool, but I'm not sure how we'll use that in our park. If we do, we'll probably do it just for fun. And then this right here, a linear synchronous motor raid coaster, LSM coaster. Look at that. That is going to be awesome. And of course, look at this one with the sidecar. Now, I won't say exactly what story this type of coaster came from, but some of you probably already have that figured out with the motorcycle and sidecar. Now, here's some of the scenery here. Look at this. They've got some scenery here just to kind of show you what's going to be possible with these new, with this new DLC, and I can't wait to use it. This is going to be incredible, especially that right there. That's the one I want to use the most. But look at this. We've got our coaster. Now, from what I understand, that coaster doesn't need to stop at any point during its swing. It'll just continuously move because the switch track moves fast enough for you to be able to do that. And then this, of course, is going to be part of the story. The Sorcerer himself, a couple of other packs there that are available. Look at this. I just can't wait for this whole thing to get started. So now, this comes out September 16th, which is not long from the time this video comes out. Now, back to our area here. We are going to start off with a pathway here, and we're going to diverge off of that path onto this kind of a little rise on the right-hand side. I'm not sure what Winslow has in mind for that yet. I believe he said there will be some shops and restaurants up there overlooking the adventure area. So we will talk more about that as I get more involved with what Winslow has in mind. So we're going to create this new adventure area. You saw kind of a preview of what it's going to look like with all the trees and bushes and plants and different things. Of course, some rockscape, and we're going to work on that here right now. So like any adventure area in any theme park, we of course are going to go with a very tropical feel. You may have seen at the beginning of the video, if you're looking forward now to the left of the river in the middle, you'll see an outline there where we are already breaking ground. You can kind of see it there where we're already breaking ground, and we are going to put a pirate attraction in there. And now that's where I'd like to ask you what you would like to see next. So leave a comment below telling us what you would like to see footage of next. Would you like to see us continue with the pirate area? Would you like us to go back to the western area where we still have work to do? Or would you like us to go back to the fantasy area where we still have some work to do there? Now, for those of you who've been following, you've been following the story of Winslow Everheart, our founder of this particular theme park. And I'm his advisor and one of his collaborators in building the park, and I also help put together the music for his parks. Now, the music that you're hearing in these videos that we're presenting to you is available for you to use in your parks, and we can even, if you'd like to use it on your social media channel, just let us know. We can actually whitelist your channel for this music that I've put together. Just leave a comment below and we will give you the details on how to get that music. And it's something that you can use even on a monetized YouTube channel. We just need to whitelist you, that's all. But here we have, by the way, we will have tons of music. I think we've already got a good 15 or so songs in our library, and we'll continue to expand that over time. Now, here you can see we've got these tropical plants going in. I think those are called like Swiss cheese plants. I've always loved those since I was a kid. Tropical plants and me go really well together. And then we've got some of these palms going in, and we've got some of these big giant ferns going in. Now, ferns again are one of my favorite things. You know, right now I live in a very desert area, and a lot of these kinds of plants will not grow out here. However, we are planning on making a move as soon as I'm done helping Winslow with the final designs of this park and we get it opened fully to the public. Now, some of our areas are open to the public for preview. As you've seen, we've been to our mine train coaster, and we've been on Tillywhim's Twirl. If you haven't seen that, that's our Teacup ride over in our fantasy area. And we've got some restaurants and things open, and you know, for our guests to use. And all of the things that we've built so far, almost all of them are in our workshop. There are links below in the description where you can go get the links to those, and or the share codes, that is, and you can use those codes to download many of the things that we've built here in our parks, with many, many more to come. Now, here we're going to build a bridge. Now, one of the things that we really liked about adventure is things can be made with a lot of natural materials. So we've definitely decided that this has to be something that we use here. So here we are putting this together with natural rock, and you should have seen those cranes when they were coming in with this stuff. It was absolutely crazy. So we did build this out of natural rock along with our tropical plants and other things that you'll see as we put this together. And even the sign that we made was made with natural wood. We just put some things on it to help preserve it and protect it from weather. But, you know, here we go. So, you know, the reason that we built this whole area is when Winslow was younger, he dreamed of places that were untouched by time. Jungles where the earth was still alive with secrets, and pirate coves where the tide hid forgotten treasures, and Viking longships that, you know, that were going to try to find the edge of the world. So in Expedition Delta, this area, every path is like a promise of adventure. Every corner is like a discovery, and the river twists and turns and carries you from one world to another. Pirates on one end and Vikings in the mountains, and deep within, there's the green and heartbeat of the jungle itself. So this is a place where everyone can become an explorer, and explorers can rediscover who they once were as a kid. So for Winslow, adventure was never about necessarily riches and glory. It was about wonder. It was about curiosity. It was about that little spark in you that says there's more right around the corner. So here we are putting it together so it'll start to take shape, and we will get this entrance put together for you. So as you can see, we've added a little bit of twisted vines and different things, and I do believe after taking a look at it, Winslow didn't really like the way this one looked up on top, and we did end up removing that before we got too deep into our design, but we did end up making it look really, really nice. So as we're building this, just some stories here about our park. So one of the things we wanted about this park is a place where everyone could come together. We wanted to make sure that you had a place where you could always be. And if I haven't mentioned it before, one of the things about this park was that Winslow wanted it to be something that lives. He wanted it to be something that breathes, something that lives on, no matter what. And so it took a long time before we came up with the name of the park and what it meant as far as kind of like a tagline. So Everheart Kingdom is the name of the park, and it was named, of course, after Winslow. Just like Disneyland was named after Walt Disney. Well, Winslow Everheart named it Everheart Kingdom, and I always thought that was a great name. And we actually came up with 2 taglines for our park. And these, as you'll see when we get to where we built our main entrance for the park, in a future video we'll show you that. You'll see our tagline there. And that tagline, well, one of the 2, is where wonder whispers and magic answers. Think about that. Where wonder whispers and magic answers. And then, of course, our other tagline that we use quite often in our advertising is Everheart Kingdom. Step into the story your heart has always known. Wow. What a tagline, right? Such a great thing. It's something that helps you get the feel of what we do here in Everheart Kingdom before you ever even arrive. Before you hop on the plane or the bus or the train, or you drive out here from far away, or even right down the street. It just gives you a great idea of what Winslow wanted for his guests. Now, getting back into our build here, we're adding some greenery here to kind of give it an overgrown look in a jungle area. And we'll definitely add some more things around here like we do here. We've got our bamboo going in, give it somewhat of that tropical feel yet again. And it kind of screens off the area just a little bit to where if you look right through and just kind of peek through the foliage, you can kind of see what's up ahead of you as you're crossing underneath that bridge. And that's kind of what we wanted, is to kind of give you a little bit of a peek of everything just before you get there. Now, sight lines like that are very important in a theme park. Those of you who are building your own theme parks or are planning on doing so in the future, just remember, build sight lines in such a way that it gives people a sense of, I wonder what's over there. Because that is what makes theme parks so special. Now, if you've been to a lot of Disney parks like I have, where Winslow and I got a lot of our inspiration from, or even some of the other parks out there like the Cedar Point parks or the Six Flags parks or any of the other parks that are out there, you'll notice that they're very carefully engineered in such a way that texture, light, shadow, the shape of a walkway, all play a part in adding to the feel of the overall park and the magic and the nostalgia that you build over time from being in these places. Well, that's what we always wanted to integrate into our parks. So, as you'll see, many of our walkways are set a little bit to where the entrance is set a little bit further away from where the pathways split apart, because we want to make sure that when you go from one area to another, it's an easy transition. Now, we've talked about that in our previous videos. A nice, smooth, easy transition where you just ease your way between one area and another. That way it's not a big shocking change between, say, adventure, like this, and Western, or Western and fantasy. And so a lot of times when we're building these, we use the shape of the land. So as you can see, we sculpt the land and terraform in such a way that some areas are higher, some are lower, and some areas are just around a corner or a turn. And that helps kind of reveal an area as you walk into it, as opposed to seeing the entire area as you walk up to it. So here we were looking at the shape of this bridge, and you can see it's kind of got an angle to it. And so what we did was we went ahead and added some more to the top here to kind of balance it out and make it look more like an archway, as opposed to just kind of a weird angled thing with a flat top on it. So you'll see here we made some adjustments after our initial tests with guests during the preview started. And we did make some changes that you'll see as we go forward here. Now, of course, we needed some lighting in here. We needed a tunnel that, where people could see as they're walking through, and we wanted to make it adventurous, so we added some torches here. And then, of course, as people enter this area, they will enter we added some tiki torches that you'll see as we add those a little bit later, but these kind of give the feel of adventure. And here we go, we've got those in place. And then, of course, we added some of these leading in. And to make sure that they blend in a little bit, we didn't put them out too close to our main walkway. We wanted to kind of ease in, like we said, so you'll see there will be different lighting as you transition from one area to another. Now, theming is really important, especially if you're building a Disney-style park. Some theme parks, it's a big change between areas where it's very plain that one area is very different from another. And that's okay if that's how you like to design your parks, or you're following some of the other theme parks in the world that, or using their inspiration for your designs where they do it a little bit differently. That's okay. It's your park, you build it your way. But we over here at Everheart Kingdom wanted to make sure that we kept that feel of where everything is its own thing. It's its own area. And so we, of course, followed the more of what Disney does with their stuff by, making everything just kind of ease into one area into another. Now, even at Disney parks, sometimes the transition is a little bit more striking. So we wanted to make sure that we improved on that model. And so that's where you'll see our walkways into our areas are a little bit more further back and not quite just right up against each other. So color schemes are really important here. As you can see, as we're building our adventure area, we've got a lot of earthy tones and things that look older, faded, more like they belong in a jungle. And so that's what we're doing here. We're making sure our colors and everything fit together, and we will fix that sign up a little bit better later. We will show you that as we get to it later in time. So we just didn't like the way it presented, the way it looked. And of course, we put everything through a lot of testing, and there you can see was our final result on that sign. Looks a whole lot better. And of course, some lighting so that you can see these signs. Now we tried down lighting like this, we tried lights from the side, we tried lights from everywhere, and this wasn't quite the look we were looking for. So we tried different ways of doing this, including flipping those the other way, and we just didn't like the idea of these big giant lights hanging there. We wanted something a little more subtle, so we used a trick that we've used in previous areas, like our western area. We did like these storm lamps, but decided they weren't quite what we wanted as well. So we used a trick from our previous area where we take these, well, there was where we tried from the side and kind of an upward angle, and again, didn't quite fit what we were trying to do here. But the trick we did use before was right here, I believe. Let's see, did we finalize those? I think we may have left those torches there. But anyway, lighting up the signs, we always like to leave a little texture. So this is what we ended up doing here. We put in some of these lights that could light up from underneath, some uplighting, and made them nice and warm. And then, of course, made sure that the color of the light fixtures themselves match our signs so that they don't kind of stand out. It makes them kind of blend in a little bit more. So we matched those up and got those in place. And our painters did a fine job on those. So there you go, the entrance to Expedition Delta. And then, of course, some nice uplighting over here to highlight the texture in the rocks on our rock bridge and the plants and vines that hang from them. And to go complementary to our warm light, we put some nice cool lighting along the edges of these of the rock bridge. So again, complementary colors work great together, and that is part of color theory, is using complementary colors as opposed to always using monochrome. So we could have lit those up with a warm light just like our sign, and that would have been monochromatic. But we liked the idea of putting the complementary colors in instead. So there's the front of Expedition Delta, and you can get a good look at it right there. And we added some more decoration to it by adding some rope and give it more of an adventurous feel. And that came from feedback from our initial guests when they were testing the area for us and taking a look at it. And they thought maybe we should have a little bit more on our archway leading into this area. So we added a little bit more. And there you go, the entrance to Expedition Delta. It's got a nice feel to it. I really did like this. Once we got our guest feedback and went with their suggestions, it worked out really, really great. So there's an overhead look at our entrance area, and as we turn around here and take a look, we are getting ready to build our coaster. Now, over here you can see our mountain. We've got a little tunnel leading in there, and that's where our coaster will begin. But we wanted to show you something else, because engineering this, trying to build inside of a closed space would be really difficult, especially with trying to drop in all the girders and everything. So let's take a look right around the back here, and we're going to show you how we did it. We built a hollow mountain, and inside that hollow mountain is where our new coaster will go. Now we're going to need your help in deciding on a name for this coaster. So drop a name in the comments there of what you think this coaster should be named, and we'll take the very best one and we'll use it, and we'll give you the credit for it too. So we're going to build inside of there, and so we need to start off with our station. So let's get started with that. All right, here we go. We are going to use the swaying mine train for this attraction. Now, This was our very first time building a swaying attraction. So it did take a lot of time and engineering and working on this with our advisors and our coaster builders. And so what we've got here is a station that's going to sit low, and it's hugging that winding river, or actually the winding river hugs it, and it just wants you to drop a pebble in there and make a wish, right? Or a penny. So, Winslow always said that water wasn't just scenery. To Winslow, water was like a living movement. He was obsessed with how water made people stop and listen and breathe for a second before diving into adventure. So that's why the station here isn't just a starting line. It's kind of like a quiet pause, a calm before the chaos. And, it doesn't let you get too comfortable because this river doesn't just wrap around it like a moat. It's like the ride's heartbeat, pulsing and circling the whole setup while you're strapped in, staring at that dark tunnel, wondering what's about to yeet you into the unknown. Now, Winslow once told me the river had to be perfect because water makes people feel calm. But here's the thing. He tried to test that theory once by building this little makeshift raft out of plywood, and I kid you not, empty pickle barrels. Yeah, plywood and empty pickle barrels. So he climbs on proud as ever, and the whole thing just instantly tips him into the water. And he came back soaking wet, looking like a sad little sea otter, and he says, "See? It's calming. I feel remarkably refreshed." So bro, you almost just drowned in 3 feet of water, but okay. But that's Winslow, though. He could turn a total flop into a philosophy lesson. And now we've got a river around the station that doesn't require a tetanus shot if you fall in because, that's progress. Now about that tunnel, it's kind of like an entrance where the light just cuts off because the back of the mountain will be closed. And when you get in there, you're just staring into this mystery, this dark, quiet mystery. And Winslow wanted riders to feel like they were leaving behind the real world the second they passed through those shadows. Like 1 minute you're waving to your friend on the bridge, and the next minute, boom, you're swallowed whole by stone. Now, when I was sketching this with Winslow, he told me, the tunnel's not just a hole in a rock, it's a promise. It's a promise that what's waiting inside is way bigger than anything you thought you signed up for. And bro, he was not kidding. The mountain is hollow, but don't let that fool you because it's alive. Every swing, every curve, every scream bounces and echoes in there like the rocks themselves are part of the orchestra. And that's the vibe Winslow was after. He wanted riders to feel like they weren't just on a track, they were inside the beating chest of something ancient and wild. Now right now, it's bare bones. It's steel track and stone and no carvings or torches or mystical runes yet. That'll all come later. But even stripped back like this as it's being built, and just down to the basics, there's something eerie about watching that coaster snake and swing through the shadows. It's almost like you're peeking at the skeleton of a myth before it's fleshed out. And the swinging cars, man, they do half the storytelling for us. They whip wide at every curve like explorer ships caught in a storm. 1 second you're floating chill, and the next you're diving headlong into a drop that slaps the breath out of your lungs. Now, Winslow once joked it's half ride, half therapy session, because it forces you to let go of the control. Now, he wasn't wrong. Inside that hollow mountain, the coaster just feels bigger than life, like the walls are bending to your screams. You're not just riding, you're being swallowed up, chewed up, and spit out by the mountain itself. Now, here's the thing. As massive as this thing feels, and the mountain will actually grow because we did redesign some of it to be a little bit bigger, it's not even the final form, because Winslow and I planned layers of detailed scenery, stories, secrets that'll wrap around this coaster like vines around a stone. And today's episode, well, it's just about the bones, the heartbeat, but we will build this out together. Now the skin, the muscle, the personality, yeah, that's what we're talking about. That comes later. But what we've got here is already fire. A mountain with a hollow heart and a coaster that claims it as its own. And Winslow, well, he always saw this ride as the crown jewel of Expedition Delta. He believed the mountain was more than a backdrop. It was a character. And the riders, well, they're just the heroes that step inside and dare to face it. So, yeah, today we build the skeleton of something legendary. A swinging coaster that doesn't just sit in the mountain, it lives in it. It breathes in it. And when you see what we have planned, when we start building out the inside of this coaster, you'll see what we're talking about. It's an absolute adventure, far beyond what you may be imagining. Now, as you can see here, we did have a few redesigns, a few things we had to do just to get this coaster right. And of course, we had our future plans in mind as we were doing that. And so every curve, every turn, every dip and drop, all had to be just right for what we have planned later. Now, don't leave yet, because toward the end of this video, we are going to take a ride on this coaster a couple of times and let you see a preview of what we have planned. And of course, it'll just be the coaster itself and the mountain, but the mountain will be closed up and the coaster will be running through that somewhat empty mountain as we get ready to build the inside a little bit later. So make sure, if you haven't already, to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon, because we would love to have you along as we continue our adventure in building Everheart Kingdom. Now, for those of you who've been with us for a while, you know some of the story of Winslow. And if you're enjoying it, please let us know what you like the most about our story so far, because we plan to tell you a lot more about the story of Winslow. And the building of the park, the dreaming, the ideas, and how it became what it is today. And if you see any design ideas that you'd like to give us feedback, well, you're one of our guests. We'd love to hear from you and see what you think about our designs and what could be better, what could be improved, because you will ultimately be able to ride every attraction in this park. You will be able to experience this firsthand, because this entire park, as I've said before, Winslow and I are definitely not afraid to share our designs. We will give you access to this entire blueprint of this entire park, and you can build your own ideas from it. So, for now, we're putting this together for you to get a preview and to see what we have in mind. But if you are interested in getting this entire park, make sure that you stay tuned and follow along with us, because this park could one day be the inspiration or even the idea for your own park. So we worked with a few designs here, and as you can see, we've got some little issues that needed to be worked out. We had, like I said earlier in this video, we had not built one of these types of coasters before. So it took a little bit of work on our part to kind of figure it all out and work things out. But we wanted to make sure the turns were smooth and the transitions were not going to send you flinging off the ride and or with a neck injury. So we were very, very careful about this. And as you can see, we made a few changes to our design. We added a little more thrill here and there by deepening some of those drops and widening out some of the turns to make the transitions a little easier. We added some little bunny hills and things to kind of give you some airtime and make that ride a little more exciting. So another little story about Expedition Delta, of course from Winslow Everheart. He always said that the world was like a book. Too many people read, but they never get past the first few pages or chapters. But as a kid, he'd thumb through worn library maps with edges curled like old pirate skulls, tracing river bends with his finger and imagining jungles alive with secrets. He'd whisper names to himself: Amazon, Congo, Ganges, almost like he was doing incantations of far-off lands that he swore he'd one day bring to life. So all these years later, of course, when Everheart Kingdom was just ink on napkins and dreams in old notebooks, Winslow said, every great park needs its beating heart of adventure. Every great park needs its Old West and its area of fantasy. So that's where this part of the park came from, was the adventure part of Winslow. It's where, kids can pretend they're explorers and parents can remember the days when they wanted to be. Now, the name Expedition Delta actually came from Winslow's grandmother. And if you've been following the story, you'd know Winslow's grandmother played a big part in our story behind this park. So she once told him stories about the river deltas, where land and water kind of come together in an endless green and blue, where every turn could lead to treasure or peril. Now, to Winslow, a delta wasn't just geography. It was a place of crossroads, a meeting of worlds, pirates skimming the shoreline, Vikings chasing the horizon, and jungle explorers carving their way through thick mist. So when designing Expedition Delta, Winslow wanted to weave all those ideas together. It was a land that didn't belong to just one single story, but to be like the adventure of spirit itself, or the spirit of adventure itself. Now, here towering jungle ruins kind of speak to you of lost civilizations. A pirate cove kind of hides ships half swallowed by time. Viking carvings will loom like ancient guardians watching travelers with stone eyes. And through it all runs the river, twisting, crashing, roaring, the lifeblood of the Delta. Now here you can see our coaster. It's somewhat finished. We will make some improvements over time, but this is kind of a preview of what it looks like before the mountain gets closed up. So, as you can see, we carved away big portions of it in order to build our coaster, and then we will close up our mountain, and that way we have that darkness, and we'll expand it outward toward the back and toward the front, covering much of this coaster up with only little hints of it peeking through. And here you can see those nice curves and bends and twists and drops. And of course, like I said, we'll make some improvements, but we will do a preview ride, a couple of rides of this coaster, so you can kind of see what our preview guests saw during testing phase. Nice overhead look there. And our little river down below. Now, that river will have some rapids and some other things added to it later. And here is where we begin closing up our mountain. So, continuing with what I was saying about this area, Winslow didn't want this to be just an area of danger. He wanted it to be an area of wonder. He wanted to make sure that Expedition Delta carried that spark of discovery, the thrill of setting a sail, the mystery of uncharted paths, and the joy of stumbling onto something new around every bend. It wasn't just about watching adventure, it was about living it. So, when this area is finished, and you step into Expedition Delta as a guest, you're not entering a theme park land. You're stepping into Winslow's childhood daydreams. The maps he scribbled on school paper as a kid, the tales of treasure and thunder he whispered to himself every day, the spirit of a young kid who never wanted the story to end. And here in Everheart Kingdom, it never does. This story goes on for as long as we all have adventure in our hearts. We can't wait for you guys to enjoy this yourselves. So, when this is available, this entire area, this entire park is available, we'll make sure that that blueprint is available to you, like I said earlier. Now here you can see we're filling in some of the mountain. We did kind of go back and forth on some areas and change things up a little bit. And we had some issues with track earlier and clearances, and we'll get into that a little bit later as well. But here you can see we're terraforming a bit and just getting things into place and making it look as natural as possible, while also making sure that it's safe for our guests. So as you can see, we need to make sure there's plenty of clearance around our coaster tracks, because being a swinging coaster, you don't want to swing your guests right into a stone wall. So of course, we very carefully had to engineer and terraform some of these areas. And as you can see right there, there's a little bit of clearance under those tracks that we need to work with later, and we'll show you how we did that as well. So you can see right there where we changed up some of the track to an H-style track, as opposed to using the tracks with the tubing underneath, and they were plenty strong for the short spans like that, and that gave us the clearance we need so that we could get our guests underneath those tracks above it without having any clearance issues. And we did this through quite a good portion of our coaster, so you'll see more and more of that as we move forward. So these tracks are very, very important. So if you do decide to build your own sway coasters, your own swaying mine coasters, just remember you can always change some of the track for tighter clearances when passing underneath. You can see we changed some of it there as well to add a little bit more clearance. And because most of this track won't be visible from the outside of the mountain, it won't be really a striking difference for our guests. Now you'll see we have kind of a blue and yellow theme on this coaster at the moment, and that's only because the manufacturer kind of sent it to us that way. However, we did go and end up painting that later, which you'll see in a future episode as we get the coaster put together and get our scenery in place and our special effects, and turn this coaster into more than just a coaster. It'll be a full-on adventure. So you'll see that later, where we repainted and made everything look a little bit better. And you can see there we're just adding a little more clearance and making sure that our guests are safe when they take this attraction, take this ride on this attraction. So as you can see, we've got pretty much everything in place here, and I think we did make a few small changes to some areas, but again, it was all in the engineering and working together with our collaborators and our designers and our engineers, and making sure that everything was going to be safe and ready for testing as we get closer to that testing phase. So here we will get to closing up the rest of the mountain, and then we'll take our test ride coming up soon. You know, watching these walls close in around the track kind of takes me back to another wild Winslow moment. You see, this guy had an obsession with immersive testing. One time before we even had proper safety checks, Winslow decided the best way to test the darkness factor inside the ride was to blindfold himself, spin in a chair 10 times, and then try to walk through a half-built station without bumping into a single support beam. Now, I'll tell you what, this was less scientific experiment and more like human pinball machine. He actually walked right into a beam, bounced off it like a cartoon character, spun sideways, and somehow landed perfectly in a wheelbarrow full of blueprints. And what does that say? Or what did he say? He said, well, at least the theming was immersive. That's Winslow for you, turning chaos into inspiration. And just like that day, we're sealing up this mountain with the same reckless passion and hopefully a lot less bruising. And next up, test rides. All right, here is a look at the entrance of Expedition Delta. You can kind of see what our vision is here now as we look through and, what guests are going to see as they enter this area in the future. It gives kind of just a sneak peek of what's ahead. And now the test ride. We're going to take a few rides here, so let's take this one in seat view. We're going to take this ride from the back of the train, and of course there'll be a little bit of roughness in here. We still need to work on the track a little bit with our engineers and make sure everything is nice and smooth. But you can see those cars swinging already right from the beginning. Now it'll be much darker in here when it comes time for us to open this attraction to the public. But for now, there's a little bit of light coming in, and of course we still need to add some of our special effects and things that'll come later. Now this attraction, of course, wasn't meant to be just a wild swinging ride. This one was meant more for families, so even though it gets a little bit turbulent, it's definitely gentle enough for most families. All right, that is ride number 1. Now we're going to take another test ride. This time we wanted to see what it would look like during golden hour. So let's get back into the station here, pause for a moment, and then we will take off at golden hour. And here we go. Now don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell notification because we have many more videos coming up soon. And you don't want to miss what this ride's going to look like when it's complete. All right, and it's time for one more test ride. This time we're going to show you from track view, so you can kind of see what's ahead as it comes up. And we're going to do this one at night, so you can kind of get a preview of what it's going to look like once we have all of our lighting in place and everything, and it's nice and dark inside that mountain. Now, of course, here you can see it's still a little bit daylight, but we only did that because we wanted to make sure you could actually see what was in here and not just be riding in complete darkness. All right, so we'll be adding some splash effects back there where we just went through the water on one of those last drops coming down from the big hill. And here we are headed back into the station. Now next week, we will be building up the station and doing some other things here in our adventure area. But also we'd like to know, what else would you like to see? More of our western area? More of our fantasy area? We can always build out some of those as well. We still have our mine train attraction over there in the western area. You can see it in the background. And you can see it right there on the right hand of the screen, right hand side of the screen. And we'd like to know what you would like to see, and we'll create that video just for you. So here you can get a good look at our plaza area that will soon be built out. Our walk into Bramblewick, where we have our Teacup adventure, and of course more attractions coming soon, and our western area here. And you can see our mine train attraction that still needs a little bit of work, and so we'd love to work on that with you. Now, I'm going to remind you of something that Winslow always said to me, and I always say to you. Always remember, build bigger, build bolder, and may your dreams become your reality. We'll see you all in the next episode of Planco Playbook.